448,000 researchers watched the first standard curve video on this channel. But there was one comment that kept appearing again and again. Can you make a complete version? So this is that version. And if you have ever spent hours running an assay only to realize your standard curve was unusable because of your R-square was too low, this video will save you from that mistake. In the next few minutes, I will show you how to build a standard curves correctly in Excel, calculate unknown concentrations automatically, interpret R-squares properly, and avoid the 5 mistakes that silently invalidates the results, and create a publication-ready graphs for your thesis or paper. There is also a free Excel template linked below with everything pre-built. Let's get started. Here is what we are covering today. We will start with the fundamentals, what a standard curve actually is and why the maths behind it works. Then we move into Excel, the correct way to set up your data, build the graph, fit the trend line, and calculate your unknown concentrations automatically. We will spend dedicated time on R-squared because most researchers either don't know how to interpret it or they accept values that are too low. And we will finish with publication formatting, the specific things journals and supervisors expect to see. By the end, you will be able to build a complete publication-ready standard curve from scratch in under 10 minutes. Let's start with the core idea. What is a standard? A standard curve is simply a bridge between a signal you can measure and a concentration you want to know. That signal could be absorbance, fluorescence, luminescence, optical density, or almost any measurable response. Here is how it works. You prepare a series of solutions with known concentration. You measure the signal from each one. You plot signal versus concentration, and Excel fits a line through the data. The equation becomes your standard curve. Now, when you measure an unknown sample, you simply plug the signal into the equation and the equation gives you the concentration. That's the entire concept. And once the curve is built, Excel can calculate dozens or even hundreds of unknown samples automatically, which is exactly what we are going to set up in Excel. This is why standard curves are one of the most important foundational skills in the experimental biology. Now, you might be wondering if this applies to your specific assay. The answer is almost certainly yes. Protein assays like Bradford, BCA, Lowry all use standard curves. You prepare the BSA standards at known concentration and measure the absorbance. The curves give you protein concentration of your unknown samples. In ELISA, every quantitative ELISA relies on a standard curve to convert your OD reading to actual cytokine or antibody concentration. Enzyme assays, DPPH, radical scavenging, IC50 determination all use this same principle. Even CFU estimation using optical density, you are essentially building a standard curve between OD600 and colony count. And whether you work in biotechnology, microbiology, molecular biology, diagnostics, pharmacology, or even biochemistry, this skill becomes part of your daily work. Honestly, this is one of those skills where you once truly understand it, a lot of other calculations suddenly becomes easier. Alright, let's get practical. Step 1 is setting up your data correctly in Excel. This sounds straightforward, but getting it wrong at this stage causes problems downstream. So pay attention to this layout. You need 2 columns, concentration in the first column, absorbance in the second. That's it. Don't swap them. Excel expects the X values your concentration in the first column when building this type of chart. Now let's look at this example. We have blank at 0 concentration with 0 absorbance, then S1 through S5 at increasing concentration from 0.1 up to 2 milligrams per ml. A few critical rules here. First, always include your blank 0 concentration. This anchors your curve at the origin and gives you proper intercept. Without it, your entire regression shifts. Second, use a minimum of 5 standard points. 3 points can give you an R-squared of 0.9 completely by chance. Even with noisy data, you need at least 5 to have statistically meaningful regression. Third, run each standard in duplicate. Average the duplicates before plotting. This catches pipetting errors. And fourth, aim to keep your absorbance value between 0.1 and 1.5. Below 0.1, your signal to noise ratio is poor. Above 1.5, Beer-Lambert's law starts to break down and your curve becomes non-linear. We'll come back to that a little later. Now, building the graph. There are 4 steps. Step 1. Select both your columns. Click the header of your concentration column, hold Ctrl and click the header of your absorbance column. This selects both without selecting everything in between. Step 2. Go to Insert, then Charts and then choose Scatter Plot. Specifically, scatter with only markers, not the line chart, not the bar chart, just a scatter. This is the correct chart type for regression analysis because it treats both axes as a continuous numerical values. Step 3. Right click on any data point in the chart and select Add 10 line. Choose linear, then, and this is important, tick the boxes at the bottom, display equation on chart and display R squared value on the chart and click close. And step 4 is clean up your axis. Right click on x-axis, go to format axis and make sure it starts at 0 and ends at your highest standard concentration. Do the same for y-axis. Add axis title, concentration with units on the x-axis, absorbance on the y-axis. And suddenly, you now have a professional standard curve. Most beginners think the difficult part is building the graph. Actually, the difficult part is interpreting whether the graph is trustworthy, which brings us to the equation. Excel will display an equation that looks like this: y equal 0.823x plus 0.003. Let me break down every term. Y is your absorbance. This is the value your plate reader or spectrophotometer gives you. 0.823 is the slope. This represents the sensitivity of your assay. How much the absorbance increase for every 1 unit increase in the concentration. A steeper slope means your assay is more sensitive to changes in the concentration. X is the concentration. This is what you want to find for your unknown samples. And 0.003 is the intercept. Ideally, this is very close to 0 because at 0 concentration, you should have 0 absorbance. If your intercept is far from 0, it suggests your blank was not zeroed correctly or there is a background signal you haven't accounted for. Now, to calculate the concentration from an absorbance reading, you simply rearrange this equation. Concentration equal absorbance minus the intercept divided by the slope. This single equation is what converts raw absorbance value into real concentration. And once Excel has this formula, it can calculate the unknown samples automatically. Let's look at a worked example. Your unknown sample here in this case gave an absorbance of 0.612. Your slope from the equation is 0.823. Your intercept is 0.003. So concentration equal 0.612 minus 0.003 divided by 0.823. That gives you 0.740 milligrams per ml. In Excel, the formula looks like this: equals open bracket B2 minus intercept. So this has to be done in the Excel. I have given a small snippet at the bottom. You can check how to enter this formula and you can follow the same. The key tip here is to use the cell references for your slope and intercept rather than typing the numbers directly. Store your slope values in a named cell, let's say in this case D2, and your intercept in D3, then lock the references with a $sign. $D, $2. This means when you copy the formula down multiple unknown samples, the slope and intercept reference don't shift. This is what makes the template I have linked in the description so powerful. It's pre-built with the structure, so you just enter the raw data and every unknown concentration gets calculated automatically. Now let's talk about R squared, probably the most important and most misunderstood number in the standard curve analysis. R squareds tell you how well your data fits the straight line. A value of 1 means perfect fit. Every point sits exactly on the line. In practice, that doesn't happen with real biological data. Here is what you need to know. R squared of 0.999 or above is excellent. This is what you're aiming for and what most journals expect. R squared between 0.995 and 0.999 acceptable in some contexts, but I would recommend checking your data for outliers and rerunning if possible. R squared below 0.990, do not use this for quantification. I am serious about this. A curve with R squared of 0.985 might look fine visually, but the errors in your calculated concentration can be 15 to 20%. That's scientifically significant. So what causes a R squared value to be low? There are 4 main culprits. 1. Pipetting error in our standards. Even 5% pipetting error at low concentration can pull your curve off significantly. Use calibrated pipettes and good technique. Another is expired reagents. Old Bradford reagent, degraded BSS standards. Always check your expiry dates before setting up your reaction. Absorbance outside the linear range. If any of your standards are above 1.5 UD, you have to dilute them and rerun. And contamination in your blank well. If your blank reads anything above 0, it suggests background contamination that will shift your entire regression. If your R-squared is poor, don't just ignore it. Investigate why. Let me now go through 5 mistakes that I see most often, the ones that silently invalidate the results. Mistake 1. No blank included. This is the most common. Without a 0 concentration point, your trend line will not pass correctly through the origin. Every single concentration you calculate from that curve will be systematically off. Always include your blank. Mistake number 2. Only 3 standard points. 3 points can produce R-squared of 0.99 completely by chance. You need a minimum of 5 points to have statistically robust regression line. Always more is better. Mistake number 3. Absorbance above 1.5. Beer-Lambert's law assumes a linear relationship between the concentration and absorbance. But that relationships break down above roughly 1.5 OD. If you are forcing high absorbance points into a linear fit, your calculated concentration will be wrong at high end. Dilute your high concentration standards. Mistake 4. Reading concentration off the graph manually. I still see this. People draw a horizontal line from the absorbance value, find where it hits in the trend line, and then read the concentration off the axis. The error in this approach can be enormous. Always use the equation formula in Excel. Mistake number 5. Not running standards fresh every time. This is especially important for protein assays. BSA standards can degrade. Bradford reagent changes over time. If you use last week's standard curve with today's samples, your results are not reliable. Build a fresh curve every single experiment. Honestly, fixing these 5 issues immediately improves most standard curves dramatically. Now let's talk about making your graph ready for publication or for your thesis, because there is a specific formatting standard that most journals and supervisors expect. Work through this checklist. Axis titles with units. This is a non-negotiable. Your x-axis should say something like concentration in mg per ml and your y-axis should say absorbance OD at certain wavelength. Include the wavelength if you measured at a specific wavelength. Start your y-axis at 0. Don't let Excel auto-scale it to start at 0.05. That makes your curve looks curved when it is in. Display R-squared directly on the graph. Most reviewers expect to see it, and placing it on the graph is cleaner than describing it in the figure legend only. If you run standards in duplicate or triplicate, add error bars to each data point. This demonstrates reproducibility and is expected in high-impact journals. Use markers plus trend line, not a line-only chart. The individual data points need to be visible so reviewers can see how well the data fits in the line. Remove background grid lines. A clean white background looks more professional. You can do this by clicking the chart area and then formatting the plot area to fill it to white. And keep your font size at minimum of 10 points for all the axis labels. Anything smaller becomes illegible when the figure is reduced to journal column width. Small formatting details create a surprisingly strong professional impression. One more topic I want to cover briefly, because this is where a lot of researchers get stuck with more advanced assay. A linear standard curves work perfectly for most protein assays, enzyme assays, and straightforward absorbance measurement. But there are 2 situations where you need a different approach. First, when your concentration range spans more than 100-fold. In this case, a semi-logarithmic plot is more appropriate. You put your concentration on the log scale on the x-axis and the data becomes linear again. This is common in virology and microbiology, where you might have a standards ranging from 10 to 10 million. And the second case is ELISA and dose response assays. These typically produce a sigmoid curve and an S-shaped curve rather than a straight line. For these, you need a 4-parameter logistic regression or 4PL. The 4PL models account for upper and lower plateaus of the sigmoidal response. Instead of reporting slope and intercept, you report the EC50 value, the concentration that gives 50% of the maximum signal. There are free online 4PL calculators specifically for ELISA data. I'll mention some in the description, and some plate reader software does this automatically. If you're working with simple protein or enzyme assay, linear is what you need. If you're running ELISAs, remember that 4PL exists and will give you more accurate results. Before we wrap up, the free Excel template. I have built out a complete standard curve template that has everything pre-built. You enter your standard concentration and absorbance values in the yellow cells. The slope, intercept and R-squared get calculated and displayed automatically. And there is a section for your unknown samples where the concentration calculates instantly from your absorbance readings. It works for any assay, Bradford, BCA, ELISA, DPPH, because the max is the same regardless of what you are measuring. The link is in the video description. It's part of the Bioresource Excel toolkit, which also includes a template for delta CT, IC50, serial dilution and CFU calculations. Go grab it after this video. Let me give you 5 things I want you to remember from this video. 1. Always include your blank, 0 concentration, no negotiable. 2. Use at least 5 standard points. 3 points is not enough for reliable regression. 3. R-squared must be 0.999 or higher. Below this, your quantification results are not trustworthy. 4. Always use the equation to calculate the concentration. Never read it off the graph manually. 5. Keep your absorbance values between 0.1 and 1.5. Outside this range, Beer-Lambert's law breaks down. Follow these 5 rules and your standard curves will be solid every time. That's everything for this video. If you are a biotechnology student, researchers or working in diagnostics, this channel is built for you. If this video saved you time in the lab, hit the subscribe button. It genuinely helps more researchers discover practical scientific content like this. And if you have questions about your assay, your R-squared value or the standard curve, leave them in the comments. And next week, we are covering the complete qPCR data analysis pipeline. Because getting CT value is easy, interpreting them correctly is where most researchers struggle. So if that's relevant for your work, make sure you have subscribed. I will see you in the next video.